am knowledgeable, resilient, and excellent. I am a fountain of value and an ardent problem solver. I am a voracious learner, so nothing is difficult for me to master. I am a doer with a genius intellect. I am a CyberGirl! Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? Love is CyberSafe Foundation. Love is CyberGirls. I am knowledgeable, resilient, and excellent. I am a fountain of value and an ardent problem solver. I am a voracious learner, so nothing is difficult for me to master. I am a doer with a genius intellect. I am a CyberGirl! Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? Love is CyberSafe Foundation. Love is CyberGirls.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another open day of the CyberGirls Fellowship. And I am your host and very privileged to be hosting this event. And I have an amazing speaker and, of course, our amazing fellows across our hubs. Just to properly introduce this event, this event is hosted by CyberSafe Foundation, and CyberSafe Foundation is a non-governmental organization and a leading non-governmental organization in Africa. We primarily work in the digital development domain, and we're on a mission to facilitate pockets of changes that ensure inclusive and safe digital access across Africa. This particular program you're watching us through is the CyberGirls Fellowship, and through this fellowship, we're giving girls globally sought after cybersecurity skills to gain an entrance into the cybersecurity industry within Africa and across the world. And I am so excited that you're joining us today from LinkedIn and from YouTube. But without further ado, I'm just going to be welcoming our guest speaker for the fireside chat. We've called the fireside chat, we've called it Meet the Cyber Boss. And indeed, this is an amazing lady that you'll get to see. But before we show you our guest speaker, let's just all welcome our guests across our different social media platforms. Let all our fellows welcome you. So we're just going to say good morning and welcome all together, like together, everybody. Let's go. 1, 2, ready, go. Good morning and welcome.
Welcome.
Excellent. So, is there anyone who didn't join us? I can see our girls in Oyo muted their mics at the later after we finish saying that. So, do you want to say your own good morning?
Good morning, man. Welcome.
Good morning, Ma.
Good morning. Good morning. So we have hubs across 6 hubs across Nigeria, literally one in each geopolitical zone of the country. So we have a hub in Enugu, in Kaduna, in Kogi, in Cross River, in Oyo, and in Adamawa. So our Enugu girls are having challenges joining the call today, or will be joining very soon. And we're so excited to be hosting our guest speaker. Our guest speaker will soon be unveiled soon. Maybe we should have some drum rolls. But I'm really excited about having this particular person, and we spoke to her about speaking at this event since July. I think it's since July I spoke to you. So let's introduce our guest speaker. Her name is Dr. Lisa Bradley, and she is the she's the Director of Product and Application Security at Dell Technologies. She focuses on vulnerability response, customer security. Oh, you know what? Let me try and share this. The slides really quickly. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, just give me a second. Let me try and share the slides. Okay. So it's not looking like I can quickly do that from my end, so I might as well just read it here. So she is the director of product and application security at Dell Technologies, focusing on vulnerability response, customer security, and community enablement. In this role, she oversees product security incident response team, where she defines and drives vulnerability response and builds customer trust into the core of product and application security practices. Lisa has 20 years of enterprise class engineering and leadership experience, including over 8 years leading PSIRT programs for NVIDIA and IBM. I'm sure most of us know IBM. Okay. Lisa is part of the first PSIRT SIG and contributed to the first PSIRT services framework training and PSIRT maturity document. Lisa has spoken at many tech-related events, including First, BSIMM, DebbyCon, DevCon. I'm sure a lot of us know some of this by now. ISACA and Security Journey. Lisa enjoys spending time with her 3 children and recording the Security on Happy Hour podcast. Please, let's give Lisa Bradley a CyberGirls excited welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Lisa. I'm sure you guys, the girls are so excited, and that's why we had to give you months' notice to be here today. And we are very excited that you can make it here, to speak with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So we're just going to make this as really interactive as possible. The girls will be dropping their messages and their questions, and I will be putting them across the screen as we go on. So, but I want to ask a couple of questions, that I already had prepared, and you just share from what your best answer to them, and we would follow up with questions in some cases if the girls don't understand. So my first question is for you to please tell the CyberGirls fellows a little bit about your journey to cybersecurity and why you chose this field. Was there a special interest from your childhood? Was there an influence, or something in the background that pushed you towards being in cyber?
Yeah, so my journey isn't probably the typical one, but I really like math. And so then when I went to college, I did math, and then I took some computer science classes. So I ended up getting a double major, and then I got my job with IBM after I graduated. And I was in the computer field, and I was pregnant, or actually just had my daughter, and I found out that I needed to get a new job because they were getting rid of my whole department. And so I was still on maternity leave. I came off very quickly, and I utilized my network to interview with an IBM to get this job. And I didn't know much about security. It was still a very new space. It was roughly 9 years ago. And the guy I was interviewing, who ended up becoming my boss, said to me, "I need someone who's not afraid to knock on people's doors." And so I said, I could do that. I could hunt people down. I could get stuff done. And so I went into the field, not knowing too much. I mean, I had my development background doing coding, but and I fell in love with the job, and being able to be in a big company, but still, fight the good fight and protect, the company and our customers. So I sort of fell into it, I would say, but I utilized my network. I know you're going to probably ask me, like, what's my advice? Like, have a strong network. Make sure that you, keep in touch with people. And I did. I reached out, and that's how I fell into my position. As someone said, "Hey, I think you'd be a really good fit for this job."
I mean, that's really really profound what you've just shared, and it just really confirms some of the things that we have said over time with our girls around their networks. I mean, now we actually even have the advantage of doing this digitally. Um, sorry, give me a second with that. Um, we have the advantage of doing this digitally, where using LinkedIn, people can interact with other people across the world. People can be friends with people they may have never met. So that is a very strong point, and I definitely agree with you on ensuring that we really network, in the world we're living in now, for the opportunities, and maybe some of the opportunities that may not have already been created, but that networking is going to create a need for it, and you'll be the person that gets to get the job. So thank you very much for bringing that to attention. And Lisa, I just wanted to share. I don't know if this is the right time to show a bit of your slides. You want to just use them
Yeah, yeah.
now?
So these are just some fun pictures that I put together. On the top left is my cousin Amy and her two boys. She's my been my best friend since, of course, I was born. So always have her, just and her support. We support each other all the time. Then next to that, that's my two of my two boys and my mother, the Nana, as we call her. And then I have three kids. I have my oldest is 14 in high school, and then I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old, so two boys and a girl. I think we lost my pictures. I have a dog. But a lot of the things that I do is try to surround, myself with, friends and family, and try to make sure that, that work hard, play hard type of attitude. So I have a lot of pictures of my friends here. In during COVID, I learned how to play golf and tennis, just to keep me busy, um, and active, because the gyms were shut down. Um, yeah, this is my career path here. So I went to a school up in New York in the United States, called Geneseo, and then I did go to graduate school at NC State. I worked full time and went and got my PhD. So I went to school and worked full time. And then for my jobs, I was at IBM for about 17 years, NVIDIA for 3, and I've been at Dell Technologies for 2 now. And
Oh, wow.
once I got my PhD, I started to teach part time, while I was still working my normal full time job, because I really, like I said, I really like math, and I like being in front of others and teaching. So I taught at UNC Chapel Hill, which is in North Carolina, and Campbell University, which is also in North Carolina, and then the University of Phoenix, which had a local campus and also an online presence. So I taught online also.
Oh,
Sort of
that's
my
excellent.
path.
That's excellent, and I mean that's such a rich background, and I think that's very inspiring as well for our girls, to see how you really progress. So my next question is: when you started your career, did you see yourself having all these accolades and becoming director? Like, but what was your driving force, and what keeps you going, and how do you think you managed to get this far?
Yeah, so um I always thought I'd be a math professor, which is why when I did get my PhD, I taught on the side, because I really do love being in the classroom and helping others. But my career took a little different path, because I was lucky enough that when I was working for IBM, they said, "Hey, you could work and go to school at the same time," and they supported me to do that. And then, once I was in the business world, I really enjoyed being in the business world. And so I was lucky enough for about 12 years, to do both, to teach and also, be in a professional position. But really, I really liked being in the business world. And then I contemplated at one point if I should go and just be a full-time professor. But then once I got into the security space, I sort of knew it was the right spot for me, and I knew it was going to be my career. I always tell people, cybersecurity is a niche, and the product security with what I work on, PCERT in the vulnerability space, is a niche within a niche. So, it's a very, it's a great small network, even though it's big. I would say, and I like that. One of the reasons why I liked being a professor was to help people, and now in cybersecurity, I get to help people just in a different way because I'm protecting the company and I'm protecting our customers, and fighting, like I say, fighting the good fight here. So I really enjoy that aspect, that every day I know that I'm doing something to make, to better protect people, just in a different way, right, than what I imagined.
Yeah. So I mean that's very profound what you just shared, and I think it reminds me of a quote I saw somewhere where I think it was in a major at a major event that in cybersecurity you're no longer protecting computers, we are now protecting society. And it's very profound to see how our role is morphing in today's world, in the new world of work. And I'm really proud of you, if I must say that to you, Lisa. You're very inspiring. But my next question is really just to, I mean, from a personal perspective, and I also know that some of our fellows as well are young moms. I really want to ask how you manage your work life and family life. Is there a clash between both, considering how demanding cybersecurity is? And can you share some tips? Because I'm sure a lot of girls here, if they're not already at that stage, of course they're going to be getting to that stage. So the knowledge you're going to be sharing here is going to come in very handy for them.
Yeah, I would say, there are often times where it's not easy, right? So, that network, that support group, around you is really key. With security, it doesn't sleep. I don't know if a lot of you know of Heartbleed, which was for me, one of the bigger cyber issues that happened where, even I remember my mom going, "What's this thing called Heartbleed?" When I tried to go on to my bank stuff, it was, warning me about this issue. And so I remember when that happened, I was supposed to be on vacation with my family, and I certainly didn't take 1 minute of a vacation. And so luckily, my family was really understanding. I typically say, "Well, mommy's working on a big thing right now." Um, you know, uh, but there are times, especially during COVID, where it was a little more challenging. My kids weren't going to school. My daughter and my dog were literally underneath my desk sometimes, just hanging out with me while I was on work calls. But I would say, um, I I I make sure that I'm in a company that's supportive of me, and knowing that I am a mom, and knowing that I have kids, and that I need to integrate them in. So my kids will pop in sometimes in the webcam. Hopefully not right now because it's a little early in the morning for me and they're sleeping. But and speaking of that though, I did learn that there were times where for me, really getting that concentrated work time was more at 9 o'clock at night when my family was all sleeping, and just figuring out how to do that balance. Because during the day, like I said, especially when my kids were home from school, um, they were in and out of my office, and getting that dedicated time was tough for work. But knowing that, like, I can figure out or work in my schedule. So, getting into a position that has that flexibility and that allows for that flexibility was really really key for me.
I mean, what you just shared is so true. And I'm very excited about the fact that you mentioned the word integration. We've had a speaker from India, interestingly, who made mention of the fact that she doesn't believe in work-life balance. She believes in work-life integration. And just hearing you say that word again really drums that in. I definitely agree with that. And I also really would say I like the fact that you mentioned that you're in a workplace that supports you as a woman, and of course you also know what times are best to work. So personally as well, I sleep train my child very early, so I know he's on a routine, and I know exactly when he does what. So when he has a nap, it's my peak time. When he goes to sleep at different times of the day, there are pockets of times I know I have to myself. So yeah, um, practically I definitely agree with you on knowing those times and maximizing those productivity hours. So my next question will be, what would you be looking out for if someone without work experience applies for an entry level role at your organization? I mean, these girls, for example, will be in that category very soon once they finish this fellowship. How will you advise this person? What would you advise this person to do in preparation to land a first job in InfoSec?
Yeah, no, that's good. So luckily, I work for a company that does a lot of hiring, right? From um, get a lot of junior employees and have a lot of strong um, uh, internship type of program. So I would say definitely try to get into an internship type of program, and look for those opportunities, because oftentimes that's what leads you in. But if you didn't have any interns or experience like that, it's okay. Having a strong work ethic, a positive attitude, not afraid to be yourself, smile. When if you're on the interview, really just be who you are, be genuine, talk about your journey. Don't be I'm never afraid to be personal, even on an interview. I think that it's important for them to understand about me and know who I am, and the different parts that I would bring to the table. But I would say number one is have a positive attitude, be energetic. Don't be afraid to show your energy. Um, it was interesting. I remember when I was started earlier in my career in IBM, going to see some women speakers, and one of them, who actually ended up down the road being one of my mentors, said uh, that one of her male counterparts told her that she shouldn't put so many smiley faces in her emails. And and I remember her telling me this story and saying, I didn't care who I was writing to, I still wanted to put a smiley face. And so I do that now. I swear I have lots of smiley faces all the time in my emails, and I'm not afraid to put smiley faces in there. That's who I am. That's part of me and part of my personality. And and so I'm putting smiley faces on, and I'm not afraid to use them.
I mean, showing personality is is such a strong point. Oh my god, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I was saying that. Okay, great. I was saying that showing personality is such a strong point. Sometimes I also feel like my energy can be overwhelming. Like I'm like I come into a room and I'm like all over the place, and sometimes I'm tempted to just be a bit like someone else and just be quiet. But I'm very happy that you mentioned that, and it's a reminder for us all that showing personality is great. And maybe we can also talk about possibility of having some of these girls intern at Dell, but that's a different conversation that we could have off the camera.
Certainly.
Okay, great. So my next question would be, what would you be? Oh, sorry, I think I've already asked that question. But what did you do earlier? Like career choices that led you to where you are now. Was there a career mistake that gave you the biggest lesson and prepared you for your present role? I mean, that's something you could share as well, so we could learn.
Yeah, I think one of the I think biggest mistakes that I made is I was pregnant with my third child, and I knew I really wasn't happy in the position that I was working at. I just I was in it for a while, and I was ready to go to the next step of my career, but I I didn't, because I was like, I'm pregnant, and it probably isn't the right time, and they're not going to want me because they know I'm having another child, and then I would be on leave for a little bit with having it, and I said, I didn't. So I didn't make my career move then. And I stuck in that position a little too long. And I would say, if you know that something isn't right or feeling right, it doesn't really matter, you know, what's going around you, or if you're pregnant or anything, you know, you you can do it, right? And like, you put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You'll figure out your balance. You'll figure out how to make things work. And that's sort of, I think, one of the things that I would have done differently. I would have, in the earlier part of my career, I would have kept going, even, and not sort of stalled myself a little bit because I was having kids.
Lisa, what you've said is so profound. I can definitely relate with you on many levels. On many levels, I think that's a problem we also have generally as women in tech. And these reminders, I mean, are great for everyone here that is younger. I mean, I have sometimes sold myself short on those same grounds. So this is also a reminder for me, just go for what you want at whatever stage. You would find what works for you, and you'll be able to figure things out as you go. Thank you so much for sharing that. My next question is, again, I see a comment from Onone. Onone says, thank you, Dr. Lisa. I thought my energy was overwhelming sometimes too. So yeah, this applies to a lot of us. But my next question is, was there a specific time or experience where you wish that you had done something differently in your career? If you were to do it over, what would you change? I mean, this is
Um,
similar to the previous question, but this is not necessarily
yeah,
something very
I,
bad.
I think that I I knew pretty early on when I was developing, and as a developer and coding, that it really wasn't the right fit for me. um, you know, I like, I brought a lot of energy as we were talking in, and I knew that, like, I could still be in technology and in the technology field, just in a different space that was a better fit for me, that I could actually
Mhm,
utilize both my technical experience plus my personality and the way that I was. And
mhm,
I think in the earlier days, um, you most of the tech people were heads down coders, and that's okay if you are like
mhm,
that. But for me, it it just, that's not how I was. And so I think that I'm very lucky to have found my path, but it I would have liked to have found it earlier in my career. Like, I just sort of was fitting into the norm instead of utilizing my, you know, all of me into my position. And once I got into security, I realized that I was able to be technical, and I was able to use my drive and my personality, because you got to think, every day we're fighting. Like, they say that, in security we're like firefighters, but every day we're out there, we're fighting, we're trying to get, um, um, people to do things and think things in a secure world. And the last few years, it's been a very big culture shift. And so we've been fighting to change culture within companies, and, within people, to think a different way. I say right now is a really hot time for us. We're very lucky, even though we're in a scary world of ransomware and, things like pipelines being, dropped, and the medical fields being disrupted and schools being disrupted because of it. And I know it sounds weird for me to be excited about it, but this is the time that security is so important, and that there's like I thought there was a quote where there was 3.1 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs, but the other day someone said it moved up to 4 million, right? Like this is like one of the best times to be in going in the security field, because there's just so many opportunities in front of us, and there's so many companies that are realizing this is important, and it's important to invest our time into it.
Thank you so much for that, for those really strong points there. There's never been a better time before now to be in security, and I'm sure everyone here already understands, how exciting this field is. Just to mention that some of the girls have already picked different niche within cyber domain, and they're doing excellently well. And I'm really proud of each and every one of them here. But you're a director at a Fortune 500 company. Let's not even make light of that. I will keep putting that in your face, Lisa. But apart from being the cyber boss that you are, what do you do in your spare time? Do you exercise? Do you read books? Are there good habits you would love to share with us, and possibly, since a lot of us are still impressionable, be able to pick those up and make our lives better?
Yeah, no. So I do exercise. I go to the gym right around me. It's called F45. It's just a 45-minute workout. So you get in, you do your workout, and then you're done, and then you feel really good, because you got it all. It's more like a HIIT workout. Which, like I said, with my energy, it's really good. You keep moving, and so you don't stop. You go in these different stations and exercise. So I really like it. I picked up golf and tennis recently, because with COVID, I couldn't go to the gym for a while. So I really like that. But I think one of the things that is really what keeps me sane is I make sure that I have and surround myself with people that I want to be around. So I have a really strong network in cybersecurity. We do a podcast now, called the Security on Happy Hour, where we talk about different topics in security, and I really like it. Some of my favorite people that are in my life are ones that I met through the industry and connections. And then I make sure that I do my best to be a good friend, even though I work and have kids and everything. But I need to have my girl time, and spend time with my girlfriends. It's so important. They understand me. They have kids. They work. So it's good to have that. So and I spend a lot of time trying to network with my own employees, making sure that we did a quarantine hour is what we called it, when we were all quarantined. But we really try to have that fun time, and to just have a little bit of a break during our work week, to just get to know each other, and talk, and have that personal connection instead of just business. And to me, that's really important. So I would say, in the end, networking, friends, family, being around my family is very important also. I recently had my parents move closer up to me, so I get to spend more time with them. It's great.
Nice. And then you can also sometimes just have them over at Nana's, and you have some time to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go to Nana's, please.
Okay, so I have been trying to play golf for the longest time ever. I have a full kit in my house, and I've never been on a golf course since. But again, I'm inspired to just pick up my golf kit and get on the golf course very soon and just play.
Yeah, I no,
So
I'm horrible. I'm a
thank
horrible
you very
player,
much
but
for
I
that.
have fun.
Okay, great stuff. So I just have a few more questions to go, and then please, girls, drop your questions in the chat box. You're going to be sharing them with our guest speaker. But my next question is, what are some hot tips for the Cyber Girls fellows who are careers in cybersecurity? What are some tips you want to give them? Are there habits they should build? What do you think is a waste of practical advice that you could share so you could set them off in a similar direction?
Yeah, I would say one of the tips I would give is don't be afraid to have your voice. Find your voice. A lot of times, you know, we women can, especially women, can get lost in the crowd. It's a very male dominant field, even though we're I mean, as you guys are doing right here, trying to change that and encourage that. I'm very fortunate. Dell is set missions by 2030. They want 50% of their workforce to be identified as women. So that's amazing that a lot of companies are taking that initiative, and it's most likely because there's women there helping drive that mission. So don't be afraid to find your voice, have your voice. You have just as much knowledge as the person next to you, and I think sometimes um, that can be lost because we might be quieter, or maybe we're processing and our mind is thinking while someone else is just speaking. And so when if once you know what you want to say, don't be afraid to say it. So especially in security, if I liked one of the companies I worked for, NVIDIA, had this motto of intellectual honesty, and it meant it didn't matter if you were the intern and you were talking to the president of the company. If they said something that was wrong, you should feel free to correct them and explain to them why they were wrong. And I really liked that attitude, because that that president and the people who put that motto out there said, I don't I'd rather know that I was wrong and do corrective action than to keep speaking like I was wrong and that other people were just going to be okay and listen to me because I was the boss. And so I tell that to my team. I hopefully they're not afraid of me, but I always tell them, hey, like, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't, like, we'll talk it through. We'll figure it out. Hey, we got new girls. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Enugu. Can they hear us? Oh yeah, they can. So I think they're
Yeah,
having
yeah. So
connectivity issues.
great. So I would say, yeah, I would say don't be afraid to find your voice and have your voice. That would be I think my biggest tip.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'll be asking you the last question now from my list of questions. Do you have any philosophy or quote that keeps you going on bad days that you can share? I mean, we always anticipate good days, but there's some days that you're like, I'm going to say Nigerian slang now, like who sent me, like you're like the whole world is just crashing before you, so you're just livid. So I wanted to just share something that on those bad days you say to yourself or you remind yourself.
Yeah, no, I have a model. It's keep going, right? I have a version that I can't say out loud here, but usually it's keep going. And I have a bracelet with a hidden message underneath it that I wear, especially when I know I'm gonna have a hard week with kids, work, everything, and I know it's there, and I could see it, and I could look at it. But really, I would say, um, whatever challenges you have, if you keep going and do the best that you can to figure out everything, you know, it will usually work out in the end, and everything happens for a reason. And so try to have faith that when you get through in the end, even if it was a bad or hard situation, that, you most likely became stronger and learned something from it. And, and that you're going to be better off. And that even though it may seem stormy while you're going through it, I think you'll be good and stronger because of it.
Thank you so much, Lisa. So the word, the quote is keep going.
Keep going. Yes.
Keep going. So we have
Keep
a
going.
question now from Onone. She's joining us from YouTube. She says, "What do you do when you feel like you can't balance every area of your life?"
Yeah, I would say, I'm not afraid to ask for help when I do need help. That's what friends and family are for. I would do the same for them. So that's one of the things I would say is that network that you surround yourself, whether it's a work network or friend network or family network, you utilize it. One of my close friends always says it takes a village, and so with 3 kids and activities and sports and working in a field that never stops, I always have my phone near me. We're very lucky that we're in such a technology world that I know some people don't like to have email on their phone. For me, it's very important for me to have that, because there are times I may be at, a dance thing or gymnastics or lacrosse or some kind of something with my kids. And for me, I want to be there for them, but I still may have work to do. So I'm always balancing that way. But I would say I'm also, um, you know, when I think about don't, have your voice, it is okay if you talk to your manager or peers and say, I can't do this right now, or help me reprioritize. I just had a call with one of my team members that was, like, I have so many things on my plate. What should I do first? And I was like, let's go through your list and prioritize it. But, and afterwards, she felt much better because we had a plan. So I would say utilize your network. Don't be afraid to speak up. And I would say there are going to be times where you might need more help, and then there are going to be times where you're the person that's helping the other people.
True. True. So true. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. We have another question here from our girls in Kaduna. They're asking, when you first started out in tech, did you feel like you didn't know enough or feel underqualified? If so, how did you overcome it? This is a very good question.
Yeah, no, I mean, oftentimes I felt that way. I Especially because, I when I was coding, um, the majority of the people that were coding with me, and a lot of them were men, right? Like to at midnight when they weren't, were still up, they were still coding. They were just coding maybe for fun, doing web pages or things like that. And for me, that wasn't what I wanted to do on my fun or free time. And so I sort of knew that it wasn't the best fit for me. I could code, I could do it, but it really wasn't the best fit. And oftentimes, I've learned this, and not like I want to, mock men on here, but their confidence is always really strong. And when they don't know something tech technically, they often still act like they do know it, and because of their confidence. And it's a great quality. I don't know, I got to learn more from that. Fake it till you make it or something, they say. I don't know. But for me, you know it, it it took me a while to learn that, you know just because they were voicing that they all knew it, that they didn't, that I knew just as much. And so I think that was one of the things is that, I at times I did feel like I wasn't qualified, and if I wasn't, I spent the time to learn, right? I think, there's so many classes now. I mean, there's LinkedIn Learning and there's free learning everywhere with the web, and you have access to so much stuff. So don't be afraid to learn, and keep learning. Always keep learning. Every day I learn something new. I think that's another reason why I like being in the security field, is I still learn something new every day. But another thing is you know, you probably know more than you think you know,
Yourself credit. Yeah.
and you give yourself credit for. So certainly, you know, tone into that a little bit. And I think it's also okay. It's okay to ask questions and to keep learning, too. And I think it's also okay to say, I don't know that acronym, which is going to happen when you join an industry. There's so many acronyms. I don't know what that means. Tell me about it. Like, what does that mean? It's okay. You probably know more than what you think, though, all the time.
That's so correct. And I like that you mentioned that we learn every day. That's something that we have told the girls many times on the group, that literally we're all still learners. And I find that maybe that's the reason why everyone in cyber is so humble. Like, because we all are learners of different things. You get what I mean? So there's no one who just says, "Oh, I know it all today, and I'm just going to rest and just lean back and I can't be bothered anymore." We're all on a journey and we're continuously learning. I think that's
Yes.
also very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in my, in this particular part of the field for 9 years, but I'm still learning something every day, and so the way I would have maybe approached something, 5 years ago, potentially is different than how I would approach it now, because I learned so much more, and we thought we were on a roll with, Heartbleed, and after that learning from it, but then all of a sudden there was Spectre Meltdown, which is a whole another industry thing that sort of changed up my world, right? So and I'm sure there's going to be another one.
True. So there's a question here. I don't know if this is going to be the last one from the girls, but Onona is asking another question. She says, "Yours may be personal, but like the saying goes, when we have a why, we always have a reason to go on." Can you share yours?
Yeah, I mean, I, I would say, for me, I always go on because, I mean, right now I go on because of my kids. If I look at my daughter and she gives me energy and motivation to keep going. But I also think about what I was taught and how I was brought up. My dad was a really hard worker, and so he grew up very poor, and he said, I'm not going to have my family continue in that way, and I'm going to work really hard, all the time, to do that. And so I was really good. It was really good to see that work ethic, and it's taught me to have a strong work ethic. And I think, when we talked about when there's something you don't know, what do you do? I would say, like, for me, I'm a math person, so grammar. I I was always really bad with grammar and English, but I was in honors. And the reason why I was in honors English was because I worked really hard to get through it and on there. So I would say, when we talk about keep going, um, um, you know, look around at your surroundings and the people around you, and figure out what your motivation is, and how to bring that motivation into everything that you do, and to continue, pushing yourself, and pushing yourself, but pushing yourself and working hard, and have fun. Like, work hard, play hard is a good saying also.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. Is there anyone else who has another question, a last question? You can unmute your mic and ask the question live without having to type it. Anyone has any question to ask really quickly? I see that IBK just came in from Oyo. Hello, IBK. Okay, so anyone else has any questions to ask Dr. Lisa before we let her go? Anyone? Okay, so it looks like everyone has had such a lot to take off from this meeting with you and a lot to learn, and we're so thankful that you made our time. I mean, what time is it where you are?
It's now almost 6 a.m.
So you were here before 6 a.m. and we can't thank you enough for that. You look also bright and cherry, and we're very grateful. I mean, yes, we should definitely clap for her. and
Thank you. No, I would say I really appreciate you all having me here, but I think all of you are inspiring. So keep working hard, keep fighting the good fight in security, find your dreams. I'd like to see all of you, and what I'd love to talk to you guys in like 10, 15 years to see where you're at, what you did. I think it would be great.
Absolutely. And please, we should all connect with Dr. Lisa on LinkedIn. Let
Yes,
me look for that link and just share, because I'm sure it'd be nice to just keep in touch with what she's doing and just keep in touch with her. Let me see that really quickly.
yes,
Dr.
please
Lisa, you
do
can
connect
quickly
connect
share.
me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can quickly just share your LinkedIn URL so we can all connect with you.
Yes, I will do that. I'm looking for it. I don't have it memorized.
Okay. And the thank yous are still coming in. Imelda is saying thank you. Blessing Oluchi is saying thank you. And just to give you a bit of a background, some of these girls are actually, pushing against all odds to be part of this fellowship. For example, the girls in Enugu, there's a political issue in Nigeria right now where they're forced to stay at home on a particular day. They're still coming out. The girls in Kaduna, for example, there's a shutdown of telecommunications networks in a portion of their state, but they're still coming out. The girls in Calabar, for example, will beat rain at all costs and get wet in like coming rain really heavily into classes. The girls at you actually climb 6 stairs, 6 floors, 6 floors of stair flights to get to where they're learning. So like 6 floors. So if you come to the hub, I've never been there. I mean, that's equal to going to the gym, going
Yeah,
to
there you go. You go to
and
always take the stairs. It's a good. It
exactly.
is. They say,
And
oh, never take the elevator. Always take the stairs. It's good
Six
exercise.
floors, 6 floors. There's no elevator in their building, so they have to do that, and so it's crazy. The girls in Kogi, we could tell you the same story. These girls came from not having any knowledge in computing. Right now, and a lot of them are top 3% on Try Hack Me, and so
That's awesome.
it's awesome what they've all been able to achieve. The girls in Adamawa are also pushing, like they come in with on breaks, they will still come into the hubs to continue learning, and we're so proud of every one of them as they continue to push against all odds to just excel and be part of this fellowship. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming. I mean, she's dropped her LinkedIn URL in the chat box, and I see a lot of you have picked it up. Please connect with her. She's such a great person. And if there's anything you need to ask her after this fellowship, I'm sure in her generosity of time, she would take out time to respond to you. Thank you so much, Lisa. We deeply appreciate you taking out time to be part of this event.
Yes. No. Again, thanks for having me, and you all are very inspiring. So it's great.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Bye, everyone. We've come to the end of this open day for today. Our girls are not showing off skills today. Until the next time, we'll be welcoming you again and showing you how well our girls have progressed. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our sponsor all the way from Canada, Cyber Unit, that has supported us. We want to say thank you to everyone joining us across the world. Bye for now.